Hey, so I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the stuff I've been thinking about lately. Um, Directly relates to manifesting. It directly relates to everything having to do with how you create your world and how you are projecting onto the world. How much of an illusion the way we view the world is. It's so much of it, 99.9% of everything that we see and think when we see and just believe about everything that's going on in our outer world is just an idea. And it's turned into a very complex idea. There have been a lot of things in my life that have led me to this conclusion, like a lot of direct experiences where I've said to myself, this civilized idea is a thin veneer for what we really are, for what humans really are, and how humans really are, what human nature really is. This is all just an idea. You are just basically an animal living in a cave. That's really all you are at your core. Whatever that animal did back before the days of civilized society, that's what you have a right to do. Everything about civilization is literally nothing more than a set of agreements between people. That's it. And a willingness of people in general to use force in order to keep those agreements upheld. That's it. And I don't know about you, but for me personally, I'm a 45-year-old woman, I'm almost 45, who has spent my entire life living in the United States, and none of that was apparent to me for most of the time that I've been alive. This felt like a very real, structured situation. It felt like being safe, having opportunities. It kind of felt like that was an inherent part of the human experience, or like that was, an entitlement in a way, or something. That didn't start to crumble for a long time. Eventually, through building businesses, that was where I started to see this stuff fall apart. That was where I saw some cracks in the foundation of the idea that human beings were civilized, I guess. Everyone acts civilized, but they are not. That's not human nature. Human nature is to, and by the way, for everybody out there who has made like Neville Goddard the patron saint of manifesting, you should really read his works, because he too talks about human nature, the unchanging nature of humans. Can't manifest that away. This is a tool for working with human nature within what's created by man, not changing the nature of man, or manifesting it to be different. Watching people have a sort of thin veil of self-control when fighting for resources has been really illuminating to me. Anytime I've been in a situation where I was competing with other people to get things that I could then sell to collect resources for myself, it's become really apparent. Like, seeing what other people would like, all manners and politeness go out the window for a lot of people when there's a finite amount of resources in front of them, and there are more people than resources. that was my first clue, really. Before that, I thought when I would see some sort of distasteful behavior, or, take that a step further, just the atrocities that people do to each other. I think I sort of lulled myself into a sense of that being an aberration, or, those people were defective, or something's wrong with those people. And it's such a small, it's such a small number of incidents or whatever that I don't need to think about that. But as I've gotten older and observed more and more about people, and observed myself, observed my own attempts to circumvent my own nature, or triumph over my own nature, or parts of being human, and seeing how difficult that is, it's just slowly illuminated for me sort of what this place is. But when it comes to manifesting and changing your own self-concept, it's, I think, useful to start to understand that this is all literally an idea. Everything you see outside of you was created by a person's idea of what something should be like. A person who wanted something and created something in order to try to get it. Every single thing you see is an idea. Everything that you see is not natural. It's been created by man. I mean, man using things of nature to create something else, which is, at least, if not the main point of this whole experience. It's, that's good. That's what's supposed to happen. But it's important to understand that none of this is real, and none of it creates any kind of obligation in you. You don't even have an obligation to try to be a decent person. I think it is most beneficial to have some sort of a moral standard that you adhere to, that considers other people, and that tries to, in general, make things better, whatever that means, for the greatest number of people as possible. I think that's beneficial to the individual. But you have no obligation to do anything. Nothing about what you see out here obligates you to anything. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. Think about the first humans. The first humans that were the exact same genetic makeup or whatever. I'm no scientist, clearly. The first Homo sapiens. They weren't existing within this framework. They were out there surviving. They were out there finding food, finding shelter, reproducing painfully, succumbing to disease, succumbing to attacks by other Homo sapiens and other humanoids or whatever. And they were out there just surviving. There was no morality, there was no civilization, there was no moral code or whatever, other than within whatever small group they were existing in. It was a completely different world. It was a completely different mental existence in every imaginable way, would be my guess. Although I remember my mom telling me, my mom was a 5th grade teacher, and I remember her telling me once that you could take, the earliest Homo sapiens and plop it right into current society, and within a matter of time they would fit right in. You wouldn't be able to tell. That's how little anything has really changed. That kind of blew my mind. So I always remember that. But the point I'm trying to make is that everything outside of you is a concept. Everything that you feel is absolute truth is a concept. Everything. Every single little bit of your identity is just an idea. None of it is real. Nothing is real. When you reach down and touch the grass, maybe that's real. I don't know. Maybe something that you can actually put your hand on and touch is real. But other than that, and it's so funny because, if you read a lot of this New Age stuff, it all comes together in the same final point. Depending on what angle you're looking at it from, you see things differently, and from the just right angle, all of these different things sort of coalesce in the same end point. A Course in Miracles. I think the first lesson of A Course in Miracles is I have given this thing that I see in front of me all the meaning that it has for me. And that, I think, when I first read that, I don't think I really had any clue what that meant. I mean, I could say, okay, this cup, I've given it all the meaning it has for me. It holds liquid. I can drink from it. But that's true. So how about, it didn't make a lot of sense to me. Now it makes perfect sense to me. Every single thing that you think about everything you see is just an idea. And when you break that down, you've put all kinds of structure around these things. You've decided that something is necessary, or that something has a use, or that something is important, or that you need something. Did I already say that? And you do that about every single thing you see, and you do that about philosophical ideas and everything else, and it creates this complex, structured experience that you're living in. And if you don't stop to remember that you're basically a caveman with an instinct to fight for survival, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much all that is real, is that you're here and you have an instinct to fight for survival. Everything else is just an idea, and it wasn't your idea. You're living in the result of millions of people who came before you's ideas and agreement to uphold the idea and strengthen the idea, and add fucking shit to the idea that you don't want anything to do with. If you don't stop and remind yourself of that, this all is way too real. It's way too important and meaningful in a negative way, I think. Or it's meaningful in a delusionally positive way. It can be whatever you want it to be. That's the bottom line for you. You might not be able to manifest the entire society that surrounds you bending to your will, despite what some, online basement dwelling wizards might tell you. You may not be able to bend your whole society to suit you. But your whole society is just some bullshit idea that a whole bunch of people came up with, and you might agree with it or you might not. And when you stop viewing yourself through the object's perspective, when you stop viewing yourself through other people's expectations, being appealing to other people, getting the approval of other people, impressing other people, when that is not a thing that you're concerned with much, I mean, I think it's difficult to get to a point where you just don't care about that at all, because then, like, you know, you're heading into sociopath territory then. I think there's a certain danger there to really completely not giving a shit. But then again, that could just be my own personal fear. Like, when that stops being your concern, then you can be whatever you want to be. You decide what you are. And you decide the way things should be, and you decide what you want, and you exist in a different way. And I think, you know, we're watching the breakdown. Do you guys all watch this on like 1.5 times speed? You should. I'm aware of myself speaking really slowly because I listen to a lot of content on YouTube, and I have to listen to everybody on 1.5 times in order to like not go crazy. But I see why. It's hard to, like, you know, especially when you're working through an issue out loud. Something isn't scripted. It can be kind of slow sometimes. But anyway, the point I was trying to make is, I think we're watching the breakdown of a lot of this. Like, there's a lot of proof of what I'm saying all around us right now. The ideas that people hold are shifting, and you're able right now, I think, to view how large swaths of society are sort of herd animals, and how easy it is to fool people with ideas, how easy it is to hypnotize people into saying a certain phrase, or, you know, it's pretty mind-blowing. I'm really glad that I've been thinking about a lot of this stuff for a long time, because watching what has gone down since like March of this year all over the place has been really jarring. And I can't imagine, you know, I think there are so many people out there that are so married to this like world view that they have that is just complete fantasy. This idea that there is like inherent safety, or that it can't happen here, or, you know, something will come to save the day, or whatever. Just these ideas that people tell themselves so that they can avoid, I think, becoming more in touch with reality, or the reality of human nature anyway. I mean, I think it's so earth-shattering for the average person who is living in relative comfort right now, that they just can't do it. Like, they have to be in denial in order to get through the day. But we're watching this play out. We're watching the thin veneer between, you know, being civilized and being completely out of control. There's light being shined on that thin veneer all over the place, and we're watching it break down. And it's really illuminating how the way we live is just governed by a whole bunch of ideas that a whole bunch of people agree to, and are, you know, a whole bunch of people are willing to use force in order to uphold. We're watching that shift in real time, and it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy to watch. I have no idea if any of this made any sense, if anybody even gives a shit. But you know, everything that's going on, you know, I think when you start really, if you get past like the initial, I'm going to get like a bunch of material shit, I'm going to manifest a bunch of material shit without having to do anything for it. If you get like past the initial stages of that, which again, I think 99.9% of people don't, it's sort of like self-correcting, it's self-selecting, or it weeds out most people pretty quickly. But I think if you're somebody who has grasped or begun to grasp the idea that your self-concept creates things, and you start to see how that is true, and you start to see how, like, if you change something in this area, then something out here maybe that you didn't even realize was connected to that changes. If you're able to make that connection, and you go a little deeper into this, You know, like, this is all related. It's all, we're watching how the world is manifesting itself. We're watching how humans, as an enormous group, are manifesting a world. Like, this is, it's right there in front of you right now. Like, more so, I think, than ever before, thanks to the internet and, you know, video and the number of voices that are out there. This is making it really clear how true this idea is, that everything is being created from within. And it's just, it's pretty mind-blowing. But within this gigantic sphere of all of these people and all of these worlds is you and your world. And all you can really do, I think, I mean, I don't want to say anything absolute. Maybe, you know, I tend to be, I don't know if, I tend to be more, I don't try to alter what's out there all that much. So, you know, I don't spend a lot of time trying to personally influence a grand idea that's playing out, or, like, you know, I was saying on a recent video that really what I want is to see justice. That's what I really, that's a desire, a real desire. I want to see the people, the specific people that are fucking things up right now. I want to see them just completely exposed. You know, it's so funny, like, everybody hates Donald Trump, but this guy has been scrutinized and investigated to death, and they can't find shit. Like, the stuff that they found about him is so minor in comparison to what you would find about some of these really powerful people that you know, that you may have voted for. That's what I want. My desire is to see those people completely exposed. And I think that the ability for people to hide is rapidly coming to an end. I think, I don't know. That's my feeling. But what I was saying is, you know, I was about to say, you know, you've got your own world, and of course this is my perspective, so I'll just give you my perspective. Like, I have my own universe within this grander group of people, and they're each, you know, each in their own universe, and everything is being, you know, there's this consensus reality that's being created by all of us. It's perfectly valid to just focus on your own world and the way your own concept of the world and yourself in relation to it, and yourself in relation to yourself in relation to others. It's perfectly valid to focus on those and to shift those around. This whole thing's going to play out the way it's going to play out. And the way you view yourself and you view the world and everything else is absolutely going to heavily affect, if not completely determine, where you end up in wherever this whole thing ends up. So it's a good time, I think, to disabuse yourself of the notion that there is some reality here, like some real structured, immovable thing that you're existing within, when really it is just a bunch of ideas. This is just a bunch of cavemen running around, pretending to be civilized, behaving, you know, in a way that is not really natural, honestly. A lot of the time, you know, it's a strange thing being human, because we have this nature that includes exactly what's happening right now. It includes this constant struggle between, you know, being this socially cohesive mass and just breaking the whole thing down. We're just watching it play out. It's why there's this cycle every 80 years. So interesting. But anyway, so that's been on my mind lately, and I wanted to make a video about it for this channel, because it is very, I mean, look, life is manifestation. Every topic is related to it. All right, I'm going to end this here. Have a great day.